Moin, hallo, servus, g'da. Welcome back to the channel, people. I'm Mace, you know it, from Western Canada, and yeah, we're gonna check out another video and see her perspective on cops in Germany versus cops in the USA. Cultural differences and major shocks. So hopefully this is a more thoughtful and precise and accurate, or just less hysterical video. Remember the video of the American woman who got pulled over by the German police and was like just Karenizing the situation, basically, essentially. Anyways, let's hop into this. Let's take a gander and see her perspectives on the police, and I'll make comments. I've mentioned in prior videos, like I used to work in policing, so I have a little bit of familiarity with Canadian policing standards and operating procedures, but it's always interesting to see these perspectives on different police forces from around the world, especially compared to those of the USA, who those police have a notoriously horrible reputation as a whole. Anyways, all right, let's go.
What is up? My name is Haley. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you did not know, now you do. Hey, you guys, what's up? In today's video, this is sort of going to be a continuation from my previous upload where I talked about getting pulled over in the USA and getting an official warning from the police officer. If you guys want to check that video out and know where this video stems from.
An official warning. So is that like, so does an official warning mean like they put it in the system as a warning, and then if you catch them again, then the hammer's coming down?
You're more than welcome to. I will link it.
Because you would think a warning would just be like,
below in the description box, or maybe as a pin.
I'm gonna let you go today.
You are more than welcome to check
Make sure you don't
out.
speed next time, all right?
But in this video, I wanted to talk about.
Hey, next time, don't run over that traffic sign. I'm gonna let you go today, but you know you can't be running down traffic signs, all right? All right, have a good day.
Some of the differences that I've noticed between the USA and German cops, and I also just want to talk about some of the things that I wish would change regarding policing in the USA and some of the German aspects that I wish would be implemented in the USA, and just basically going on a rant.
Don't hold your breath.
Giving my unwanted opinion about this topic. So before I get into this video, y'all, as always, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and let me know what you think about this video down below in the comment section. Yeah, y'all, I got pulled over. I got a ticket. I let it fester and I sat in it for a while, and at the end of my other video I said I was okay with the whole thing, and now I'm like, you know what, I'm not okay with the whole thing. So a lot of people asked me in that video, did I drive in Germany to where I had an experience that I could compare it to? And
a little side story, this morning I was driving home from dropping off my wife, and it's dark out, and this moron, he passes me on a single yellow line. Like, this is like a very quiet place, a 60-kilometer-hour speed limit. No, a 50-kilometer-hour speed limit in this area. And I'm just going down the road. I'm like having my coffee. I'm driving the speed limit in my little car. And all of a sudden I see the headlights go around. He's passing me on a single yellow line in like a residential area. There's cars coming up the hill. And this is one of those times where I wished that a police officer would have been ahead, because I saw this guy speed and he was gone. And I just hoped that a police officer was coming up the hill, and it was one of those roads where police officers often are at that time of the day, but there wasn't, and I was so sad. I wanted to have one of those moments where, you know, you see them up the road pulled over and you gloat with that beautiful Schadenfreude. Is that even Schadenfreude? That's just like, you deserve what you got, man. You deserve what you got. Ha! But it didn't happen, so.
In Germany, I did drive. It was a very rare thing to happen because I prefer public transportation. So, you know, in Germany, there were some instances where I would drive cars, but I never got technically pulled over by the cops for any type of traffic incident. And also, like I stated in my previous video, I'm not a crazy driver. I don't speed too much. I don't break any laws. I'm a law-abiding citizen for the most part. I joke around sometimes here and there about, you know, you need to speed and go 5 miles over the speed limit. But generally speaking, I don't even do that sometimes. A lot of the police encounters that I have had on the road have been with Mike. And I do actually have a very interesting story, in my opinion, about us being pulled over by German police one time. time. When it was Corona, at the tail end, Mike and I were driving to Neuschwanstein. We just wanted to get out, we wanted to go for a walk, and it was relatively near where we lived. It was just like this random Tuesday afternoon, I think. The weather wasn't the best, it was cold, it was snowing, and we just wanted to get out of the house. So we're driving on the Autobahn, and then out of nowhere, Mike was in the right-hand lane, a car gets in front of him, and it says for us to follow them. Their lights are on, and they're basically winking at us to go
Why?
off on the ramp. And the cops are asking us why we were on this road or where we were driving to. And we were like, we're just going on an Ausflug. And they're like, yeah, but why are you here? And we're just like, doesn't matter why we're here, we're just going. Then we said to Neuschwanstein, and they're like, well, why does your car say? Because at the time, Mike's Kennzeichen, not his license, but his driver's license plate said K, and it meant Köln. And they were basically, they wouldn't say it, but they wanted to know why someone from Köln was driving on a random Tuesday afternoon Richtung Neuschwanstein.
Were they? Maybe they were annoyed because it's like snowing out. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they don't want. But yeah, I don't know what the law is. Like if it's snowing in really poor weather, that would usually keep me from going out needlessly. Like I would go out if I really had to when it's really poor weather and it's snowing, because there's gonna be people on the road. There's gonna be people sliding all over the roads. So I don't know what the weather was like specifically for their little outing, but
and going there. But they did not say that. They did not tell us why they pulled us over. Nothing. So Mike is explaining the situation about why the car has the Kennzeichen, why we're here, that we live right down the road, because I also think that there was a limitation on how far you could travel from your home base, and Neuschwanstein was still in that limitation for us. We were allowed to go there, and there was nothing wrong with what we were doing. So instead of letting it go, they were like, well, we're gonna search your car now. And they searched our car, and it was so bizarre because they went through all of Mike's, equipment for his cameras. They went through the whole car looking for stuff. They opened the hood. They looked in the windshield wiper fluid. They looked in, like, they took a piece off of like the engine or whatnot.
So this seems like definitely a negative experience for her.
To look inside. They had their lights looking everywhere, and it was bizarre because they didn't tell us anything.
Certainly,
they didn't do anything.
I would say.
And while the guy, which I found also to be very interesting about this, was that while the cop was talking to Mike, we were outside of the car. I was at the back of the trunk, and Mike was on the driver's side. I was watching, and the cop had his hand on his gun while he was talking to Mike. It could have been that he was just resting his hand there.
They do that often, though. They do kind of like, they just like rest it there. I don't know. Sometimes they'll put it in their vest like this, is one I've noticed. They'll put it in their bulletproof vest like this.
It could have been that he didn't even notice it was there, but I found that to be relatively odd. And then nothing happened. They said we could go. They didn't say sorry. They didn't tell us what they pulled us over for. And they basically told us that we could leave the parking lot, and that was it. And Mike and I were just so bamboozled by this whole incident. And I think that has been one of the craziest encounters that I've had with
that sounds
German
like a pretty
police.
bizarre
But aside
experience.
from that, never really been pulled over for anything else. Being a cop, I feel like, is relatively similar in Germany and the USA. They both have cute outfits, they both drive cute cars, they both have sirens that go ta-ta, and they both are seen as
They
authoritative
both have cute outfits. They both have cute cars.
figures. They have to get special schooling and certifications to become a cop, and in a lot of instances, it is a very decent job to have. But when you're boiling it all down, there are some core differences between the USA and Germany. So
Level of education, level of training.
Cops are looking at I think a
temperament.
3-year minimum, 2.5-year minimum Ausbildung to become a police. They are getting basic general knowledge education. They're getting specialized police education, which could include first aid, which could include traffic laws, could include de-escalation, which there is a lot of emphasis around in the German coursework. And when you go to the USA side, which mind you, this varies from region to region,
I
city
think
to
they're
city,
trying
state
to
to
do
state,
more
and
de-escalation
the
now.
laws can sometimes differ depending on what location you are at geographically. So for me in Florida, the state law is that you need 770 hours of training, or I guess you could call it school work, to become a cop. When I was looking for a specific set date, like in Germany, it's a 3-year Ausbildung program to become a police officer. In Florida, we do not have that exact same system. It is 770 hours, and what I found on Reddit was that equated to around 3 to 9-ish months, and I will be generous and say a year max. And while looking all of this information up, I found a little asterisk or footnote about the requirements of
I wouldn't even say it's a year. Like, so for the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, I believe it's 6 months at depot. So you have to go to depot to do all of your training, all your gun training, and you have to all your fitness training and all of your training, which prepares you to be a team member and a member of the RCMP. They're in depot for 6 months, but that doesn't mean your training ends there. When you return from depot, and if you pass everything, then you're still a trainee for quite a long time, and you're not out there by yourself. So I think Canadian standards are fairly good, and they're certainly improving, however imperfect. So it is what it is, right? But police forces are having a big reckoning, and they've had a big reckoning. The advent of social media and videos and people filming what they do, and hiring practices. It can be a thankless job, so sometimes they're having difficulties attracting recruits. Not necessarily attracting recruits, but attracting the right recruits, and not hiring people that they don't want, who are going to be poor police officers and escalating situations and giving them issues down the road and lawsuits and all of these things. Good cops understand, and if it's not interfering with them or being a nuisance, like they should understand that people are allowed to film them. In Canada anyways, like you're completely allowed within your rights to start filming, but some cops are going to get very perturbed and very angry with that, and they're going to give you a hard time. So
becoming a cop in Florida, and I clicked on it, and there was basically this exemption. It was saying that in times of need, or if there is a very, I would say, acute need for police force in a particular region or area, then sometimes they're able to bypass the requirements and hire people to become cops, as long as they are put in a program after the fact. I don't know how often this happens. It's not something that I researched. I just found it very interesting that this was included in the requirements. And so when you're just comparing basic education numbers, the USA cops are at a deficit in comparison to German cops. And I think this is a big issue, because when you take the topic of de-escalation, which is something that I have witnessed many times in the USA and in Germany, where I get to see how situations are defused in each place, I do see in Germany that cops tend to have their head a little bit tighter screwed. And that might not be the right way to describe it, but I just feel a lot of times when German cops go into a situation, sometimes they do have the same attitude as American cops can have, or that the stereotype of American cops are.
I know she mentioned earlier the German police officer having his hand on his gun. I thought German police officers I thought they didn't carry pistols, or they were maybe locked up in the car, but maybe I'm wrong. I guess I'm probably wrong on that front.
I can sometimes see that in Germany as well, but a lot of times I see thoughtful communication, I see sensible conversations, and a lot of times the outcome is generally positive. And then when I look at situations that I've seen in the USA, a lot of times it's not diffused in in my opinion, a proper manner. It could be due to the cop. It could also be due to the individual that the cops are approaching or speaking to.
And officers also need training on like mental health issues, right? Because there's so many people that have mental health problems and they're having a mental health episode. And if the policeman officer, or if the officer doesn't have training and does not recognize that, things can go very badly very quickly. So that always has to be, they always have to be cognizant of that, right?
I think this has a lot to do with society as well. When you are looking at Germans as a whole, I consider them to be relatively respectful. Granted, Germans can annoy the shit out of me. Sometimes I could argue with a German every which way, every day of the week.
But hey, I think any person on this planet can annoy the shit out of me.
I know that there is this very thin foundation of respect and line that will not be crossed. And unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the USA. I have seen videos of cops pulling people over, and the first thing that someone does is say that they're an effing pig.
Hey, mother, don't ever shine a light in the camera again. You understand, you punk ass bitch?
Free to go. Okay, have a nice fucking day. Happy fuck the cops day. Fuck you both. You need a fucking real fucking job.
Fuck you too, motherfucker. It's called First Amendment.
Yeah, there's a very big movement of people in the States, and they're called First Amendment auditors. I've watched their videos sometimes just in the past, like out of interest, curiosity, and they're very, very anti-police, and they go into government buildings and they kind of test their rights and where they can film and see if people uphold their rights. But they also get very, very rude sometimes, and not all of them are like that, but some of them are very, very rude and very, very, it's very uncalled for. Some of them, it's like, we get what you're doing. You're testing your rights and testing the limits of what you can film in taxpayer-funded areas and publicly accessible areas, etc., etc. But sometimes they're absolute douchebags. So sometimes they're good, though. Sometimes they're nice and polite, and they'll...
Of course, cops are trained to rise above, and in my opinion, cops are supposed to go above that. But
take the high road.
They're just humans as well. But digging a little deeper into the lying point, because it's sort of a gray area for me here in the USA, because I do think that lying can be a very strategic thing to use in detective work and investigative work when you're looking for a murder suspect, or you're trying to catch a killer, you're trying to catch a really big criminal and doing something. I think lying is okay, but I think where it gets a little murky is when cops are lying to everyday citizens to try and prove their point on something that, in my opinion, was a very minor incident. What this boils all down to is a distrust in cops, in police officers, because if you are able, especially for me, to lie straight to my face, what does that say about you as an individual? And I understand that being a cop is a difficult job. It's a hard job. It's a consuming job. It is probably a job that stresses you the F out all the time. But the thing is, you proactively chose and went for this job. You trained for this job. You took tests for this job. You meet minimum requirements every year to keep this job. And so then I think to myself, don't you want to be an amazing representation of that? And I know that not every cop is bad. I think that's very important to state in a video like this. There are so many people that go into police work with very good intentions. I think that the issue lies in our police system and how it is very for-profit, how it is very pro-jail. It is non-rehabilitative in any capacity or manner. So I think that's where the term or the saying comes, you know, regarding cops and the bad apples that spoil the bunch. It's an inevitable issue that's going to continue repeating itself because the system is so skewed. But getting to the end of this video, when looking at policing in the USA and Germany, both places have work to do.
What's the saying? ACAB? All cops are.
And improvements could be made. But when I am comparing the system that we have in the USA, I feel like it is setting up cops and just regular, normal individuals in society up for failure. I don't think that it is promoting a positive outcome at all for anyone involved. And so when I look at Germany, I see the resources and time and effort placed in becoming a cop. I see also the country and the people themselves trying to hold on to.
You have somebody that has the power to shoot people, they should be very highly trained.
What their German tradition and habit
and they need the proper temperament
of what is acceptable in society. And I feel that creates a more positive outcome. And that's all with the end of this video. I'm over it, you guys. It's a new day, it's a new life, and I'm getting a dash cam. I know a lot of y'all told me.
Dash cam, nice. Yeah, I think she made some good points about, and good, she really laid out kind of some good comparisons about the training time, the differences between German and American police. The volatility is definitely on a higher plane, I think, in the States. And she kind of delves into some interesting topics about the police having a difficult job. And yes, they're stressed all the time and they can lie to your face. But you chose to do this job. Like, you chose this job. And it is true. Like, people that go into, to be first responders and to be in the emergency services, they deserve to, have access to all of the services that they need to get the help they need if they have any mental health issues or stress issues or things like that. And they deserve to be compensated properly and da-da-da-da. But they need to be they need to be good representatives of what they do, just like she explained. Like, why wouldn't you want to be a good representative and make all police look better, make all, police forces look better if you can be a good representative? And I think that's just a great point. And she laid out how the American police can sometimes just completely circumvent training, and they can just hire people with no training and just like, if they need to, if a critical need is there, which is pretty crazy. If you could just like, let's give this guy, let's make him a deputy. Here, deputy. There you go, deputy. Go out and get him. Which is kind of crazy. I like her video. It's very measured, contemplative, and an interesting perspective, and good stuff. All right.